In my last life, I saved Chloe Miller. She was a classmate, assaulted and left for dead in an alley by a couple of local burnouts. I was the one who found her. I called 911, paid her initial hospital bill out of my own pocket, and swore I'd never tell a soul what happened. After that, Chloe left our small town and ended up marrying some trust fund kid. When we met again years later, she systematically destroyed my life. She framed me at work, got me fired, and buried me under a mountain of debt. When I finally confronted her, her face was a mask of pure hatred. "Why couldn't you just mind your own business?" she screamed. So this time around, reborn and given a second chance, I won't. I won't get involved. Why tip backward? In that last moment of weightlessness, the world went silent. All the noise, the chaos gone. There was only one thing left, a single face burning itself into my mind. Chloe Miller. Her face, twisted with rage, and her hysterical scream. "Why did you have to get involved?" Beep, beep, beep. My eyes shot open. The ceiling was a harsh, blinding white. I instinctively threw a hand up to block the light. "Now, get up. You're going to be late." I froze. That voice. I hadn't heard that voice in so many years. Was that Mom? I bolted upright, grabbing my phone from the nightstand. My hand started to shake. 2016. 10 years ago. "Lau, did you hear me?" My mom pushed the door open, a bowl of oatmeal in her hand. "Come on, honey. First day of senior year, don't be late." I stared down at my hands. They were young, clean, no scars. A wave of delirious joy washed over me. I was back. I was really back. The memories of my last life played out like a movie trailer in my head. The scream from the alley, Chloe's pale, bruised face, taking her to the ER, fronting her the copay, keeping her secret about the assault. Then, a decade later, she's married into a fortune, and we just so happen to cross paths in the same city. Terrified I'd expose her past, she set a trap. I lost my job, got saddled with crushing debt, and was hounded like an animal. And then, the rooftop. Why couldn't you just mind your own business? I squeezed my eyes shut. When I opened them again, the confusion was gone. I took the bowl of oatmeal and ate, spooning it into my mouth without pause. It was hot, so hot it burned my tongue, but I didn't stop. When I finished, I set the bowl down, stood up, and walked to the window. The same familiar street stretched out below. The corner deli with the line for breakfast sandwiches, people biking to work, kids with backpacks heading to school. Nothing had changed. I looked at my reflection in the glass and spoke softly. Last time, being a good Samaritan got me killed. I paused. This time, I'm just a bystander. I thought of that familiar face, and a slow, cold smile spread across my lips. Chloe Miller. Oh, Chloe. You have no idea, do you? This time, I'm not going to save you. I'm not even going to look your way. You can stay right where you belong, in your own private hell. I tossed my phone onto the bed, grabbed my backpack, and walked out the door. I'm heading out, Mom. Be safe. I didn't look back. The sunlight hit me as I stepped outside, making me squint. I took a deep breath, swung my leg over my beat-up 10-speed, and started pedaling toward school. As I passed the mouth of the alley, I slowed down instinctively. This was the place. Right here. This was where I heard her scream. I stopped and glanced inside. It was empty, right? It was only 7 in the morning. That didn't happen until 9 tonight. I looked away, pushed off the curb, and kept riding. But as I pulled away, I said it to myself one last time. This time, you walk through your own hell. It has nothing to do with me. I walked through the familiar halls of Northwood High. 10 years, and the place hadn't changed a bit. It was so familiar it made my eyes burn. I stood at the back of my homeroom class, looking in. 40-something kids, a chaotic mess of noise and motion. Some were roughhousing. Some were catching up on sleep with their heads on their desks. Others were huddled around a phone. It was exactly like I remembered. I couldn't recall my exact seat, but I saw the guy who used to sit next to me, the one who'd later Venmo me $1,000 when I was drowning in debt. I walked over, sat down, and stuffed my bag under the chair. My desk mate, Matt, was a big guy, and he was currently demolishing a breakfast sandwich, grease shining on his chin. He saw me and mumbled through a mouthful. "Hey, man." "Hey," I said with a small smile. He looked up surprised. "Whoa, since when are you so polite?" I just shrugged and looked toward the front of the room. Chloe Miller was sitting in the third row, right in the middle. Her hair was in a ponytail, and she was wearing a faded school hoodie, her head bowed over a textbook. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a soft glow on her face. She looked quiet, innocent. No one but me knew she was tight with the burnouts who hung around after school. I didn't know it last time, either. Back then, I just thought she was one of the quiet girls in class, shy, kept to herself, mediocre grades. A nobody, until that night in the alley. Back then, I thought I was some kind of hero. One idiot. Matt nudged me with his elbow. What are you staring at? Nothing. You're looking at Chloe Miller, aren't you? He snickered. Can't blame you, man. She's cute, but she's weird. Total loner. Never talks to anyone. I didn't answer him. A loner? I almost laughed out loud. You have no idea what she becomes. You've never seen her staring down at you, holding a glass of wine in a penthouse apartment, wearing shoes that cost more than your rent. Quiet? That's just for now. That's just because she hasn't found her ladder yet. Hey, Matt leaned in again. I heard her family's got it rough. Mom's sick or something. She has to work after school. Zooks, man. I turned to look at him. Work? I knew what kind of work she did. It wasn't slinging lattes at Starbucks. It was hanging out at pool halls and smoke-filled internet cafes with that crew. She thought she was networking, making connections. They were just waiting for a chance to get in her pants. In my last life, she hated me because I saw her at her absolute lowest. So what about this life? I'm not looking. I turned my gaze back to my desk and opened a textbook. Matt was still rambling. You know, it's a shame. If someone could just help her out. You can't. He paused. I looked up at him and said, word for word, you can't help her. Nobody can. He blinked, clearly thinking I was being weird, but he couldn't put his finger on why. He just shrugged, scratched his head, and went back to his sandwich. The teacher came in, and the class quieted down. I leaned back in my chair and stared out the window. The sky was a brilliant blue, with a few white clouds drifting lazily by. This life, I'm not saving anyone. It's not that I don't want to. It's that I can't afford to. You think you're offering a helping hand, but she just sees it as charity. You think you're protecting her by keeping a secret, but she just sees you as a time bomb holding her past over her head. You think you're a good person? She just thinks you're a fool. When the bell rang for lunch, I stood up, needing some air. I passed Chloe in the doorway. She was clutching a stack of books, head down, and walked right by me without a glance. I didn't look at her either, but in the split second she passed, I caught a smell. Cigarette smoke. It was faint, masked by the scent of laundry detergent. Most people wouldn't notice. I stood there for a moment, watching her disappear down the hall. The afternoon sun flooded the corridor with golden light. She walked through it, her ponytail swaying. She looked just like any other normal high school girl. I looked away and headed outside. Matt caught up to me. Leo, wait up. I didn't wait. I stood by the planters outside the main building and looked up at the sky. It's today. Tonight at 9, in that alley. She'll be left there by that crew. Last time, I passed by and saved her. This time, I pulled out my phone and checked the time. This time, I don't know anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. Matt finally caught up, panting. Dude, why are you walking so fast? Getting some air. He leaned in, his voice low and conspiratorial. Hey, I just saw Chloe Miller talking to someone out by the student parking lot. Some guy with bleach blonde hair on a motorcycle. Definitely bad news. I just looked at him. He blinked. You think she knows people like that? I didn't say anything. He scratched his head. Whatever. None of my business. You want to hit the vending machine? My treat. Nah. I turned and walked back toward the classroom. Behind me, Matt was still calling out. What's with you, man? I'm offering to pay. I didn't turn around. None of my business. That's it. That's the phrase. None of my damn business. This life, I'm looking out for myself. Whether other people live or die has nothing to do with me. I sat back down at my desk, opened my book, and waited for the next class to start. Outside, I could hear people laughing, shouting, running. Everything was normal. Only I knew that tonight would change everything. But this time, I wouldn't be one of the people who was changed. I was just a bystander. That's all. 3 by the time the final bell rang at 9. The sky was pitch black. An October night in this town was practically winter. I zipped my jacket up to my chin and started the ride home. The temperature was dropping fast. It had been mild that morning, but now it was already hovering around freezing. I'd biked this route for 3 years. Out of the school parking lot, through 2 traffic lights, cut through a narrow alley, and then 5 more minutes to my house. I could do it with my eyes closed. The alley had no street lights. It was a black hole between two old brick apartment buildings, the kind where the paint was peeling off in sheets. It was deserted during the day. At night, it was a ghost town. I turned into it. I was about halfway through when I heard it. Help me. The exact same voice, the exact same words as last time. I let out a silent, bitter laugh. Chloe, without me this time, will you still get what you want? The wind howled through the narrow passage. I pushed down hard on the pedals and rode out of there without a single look back. The night I'd been waiting for since I came back had finally arrived. Last time, same place. I heard the cry for help and rushed in without a second thought. I found her lying on the grimy pavement, half naked, her body a canvas of bruises. She was shaking so hard she couldn't speak. I called an ambulance for her, paid her ER bill, and, at her desperate plea, reported it to the police anonymously. I promised I'd keep her secret. I thought I'd done a good thing, and I kept my mouth shut for the rest of my life. The images from my past life stabbed at me like shards of glass. The job I lost for no reason, the debt she framed me for, the collectors chasing me down, and that final, terrifying fall. And her face twisted in a snarl. Why couldn't you just mind your own business? Why the hell did I mind her business? If I hadn't gotten involved, Chloe, what would have become of you? I rode out of the alley and onto the main road. The streetlights were bright, cars drove past, and everything was normal, calm, safe. I stopped, planting one foot on the pavement. I looked back. The mouth of the alley was a patch of perfect darkness. I couldn't see a thing. I stared at it for 5 long seconds. Then I turned my head and started pedaling again. This time I will not get involved. Even if she dies in that alley, it has nothing to do with me. Chloe, this time, I won't be keeping your secret. When I got to my apartment building, I wheeled my bike into the storage area, locked it up, and went upstairs. My mom was in the kitchen, making a late-night snack. You're home. Get something to eat and head to bed. Okay. I went to my room and shut the door. I stood at my window looking out. In the distance, the city was just a dark expanse. I took a deep, satisfying breath. The air felt so clean tonight. I kept that secret for 10 years. And after 10 years, she told me I was a busybody who threatened the life she'd clawed her way up to. I pulled the curtain shut. Chloe, I hope you're ready for the storm that's coming tomorrow. For when I got to school the next day, a crowd was huddled together in the classroom. For real. It's all over TikTok. What do you think? Damn, that's brutal. I squeezed past the edge of the crowd with my backpack. Someone bumped into me without apologizing. I got to my desk, stuffed my bag underneath, and pulled out a textbook. Matt wasn't here yet. A few girls in a row ahead of me were passing a phone back and forth, whispering, "Look at this one. The video is so clear. Don't send it to me. I don't want to see." Do her parents know? Of course they know. It's trending locally on TikTok. It's got like tens of thousands of likes. I turned to the page we left off on yesterday and kept my head down. My hands were steady. Hey, what was she even doing in a place like that? Who knows? I heard that alley doesn't have any security cameras. I wouldn't walk through there alone after dark. I heard she was already running with a bad crowd. Remember when someone saw her talking to that guy with the blonde hair? Seriously? Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. I turned the page. I silently reviewed vocabulary words. Matt came skidding into the classroom, drenched in sweat, his backpack hanging off one shoulder. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. He dropped into his seat next to me, breathing like he'd just run a marathon. Did you guys hear? Something happened to Chloe Miller. I glanced over at him. His face was flushed with excitement, his eyes practically glowing. It was in that alley, the one you take home. Last night. 3 guys. It's insane. He lowered his voice, but couldn't hide his manic energy. They said she wasn't found until this morning. She was out there all night, nearly froze to death. I didn't say a word. And get this, he leaned closer. Someone filmed it and put it on TikTok. I saw it this morning. She's on the ground. Her clothes are all messed up, and her leg is twisted at this crazy angle. Is that so? I said flatly. It's so messed up, man. He said it was messed up, but his face was pure morbid curiosity, the thrill of having the inside scoop. They took her to the hospital this morning, got pneumonia from the cold, and since her leg was broken for so long without treatment, she's going to have permanent damage. She might have a limp for the rest of her life. They said she's not really responsive, either. I turned another page. How do you know all the details? I asked nonchalantly. Oh, my cousin's a nurse at General Hospital. Matt slapped his thigh. I asked her about it. The hospital staff feels so bad for her, they're starting a fundraiser. And they're trying to find the people who posted the videos online. I knew it. She was a victim, yes, but not a perfect one. In a last life, she had been playing games with that blonde-haired guy, borrowed $8,000 from him, and couldn't pay it back. That's what led to all this. Because I reported anonymously last time, the police consulted her, and since there was no media circus, they never released a public statement. But this time, it's a public spectacle. Everything will come out. Chloe, when your secret is the whole town's secret, can you still demand their silence? My phone buzzed. I picked it up. The class group chat. 99 plus new messages. I opened it. It was full of pictures. I saw the one. A moment later, a message appeared. Content has been removed. I exited the app and placed my phone face down on the desk. Matt was still rambling. I just don't get it. What was she doing there? She was always so quiet, you know? Barely said a word to anyone. I don't know. Oh, hey, he suddenly remembered something. You take that alley home, right? You didn't see anything this morning? I saw a crowd gathered there. His eyes lit up. Did you see her? No, I said. I was in a hurry to get here and finish my homework. Didn't stick around to gawk. He gave me a sly grin and nudged me with his elbow. Too bad, man. You missed all the action. I forced a small smile. Yeah, too bad. The bell for first period rang. The teacher walked in, and the room went quiet. I turned to the right page of my textbook, picked up my pen, and drew a line in the margin. Halfway through class, our homeroom teacher came in. Her face was pale and drawn. She called our teacher out into the hall, and they spoke in hushed tones for a few minutes. The classroom erupted in whispers. A moment later, she came back in and stood at the front of the room, clearing her throat. Class, I have an announcement to make. Everyone looked up. Your classmate, Chloe Miller, was involved in an accident last night. She's currently in the hospital. I expect all of you to refrain from spreading rumors or false information online. And don't gossip about it. When she comes back, we all need to be supportive and help her. She hadn't even finished when someone in the back muttered, "It's all over the internet." What does she mean? False information? The pictures were pretty damn clear. Our teacher heard them, and her face went even whiter. She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it and walked out without another word. During the break, the hallways were buzzing. Kids were clustered in small groups, whispering. I stood by the window, looking out. Someone walked past behind me, and their voice drifted over. I heard they can't fix her leg properly. She's gonna have a limp. No way that bad. Yeah, she was out there all night. Missed the window for proper treatment. Is she even coming back to school? I don't know. How could you? You'd need balls of steel to show your face here again. I didn't turn around. I went to class, I did my work, I left. The SATs weren't that far off. My life was just beginning. The day passed. I waited in my seat until most people had cleared out, then slowly stood up. It was dark by the time I walked out of the school. I wheeled my bike toward the main gate. A few girls were standing there, huddled around a phone. As I got closer, I heard them talking. Someone posted a new video. Look, this angle shows her face. Wow, it's so clear. How is she ever going to come back to school after this? Come back to school? If I were her, I'd transfer. Hell, I'd probably just kill myself. Don't say that. It's horrible. Horrible? Please. If she kept herself out of trouble, this never would have happened. I got on my bike and rode past them. I went down the same road, past the same alley. It was blocked off with yellow police tape. A few old folks from a neighborhood were standing there, pointing and talking. I slowed for a second. Right here. This is where they found her this morning. Poor girl was out there all night. Her face was blue from the cold. I saw it on my morning walk. Scared the hell out of me. The way her leg was bent, definitely broken. Are the police still investigating? I heard she's a senior at Northwood. Right before graduation, too. I pushed off and rode away. I got home, locked my bike in the storage unit, and went inside. My mom was watching TV in the living room. You're home. Let's eat. Okay. I sat down and picked up my fork. The local news was on. A violent assault took place in our city last night. A minor was attacked in an alley and was not discovered until the following morning. 3 suspects have been apprehended, and the case is currently under investigation. Authorities are reminding citizens to be vigilant when traveling at night. My mom sighed. That poor girl. That's your school, isn't it? I kept my head down and ate. Can you imagine how her parents must feel? I took a bite of mashed potatoes. And how is she supposed to live with this? It's all over the internet. I swallowed and took a sip of water. Mom, I'm done. That's all? Eat some more, I'm full. I stood up, went to my room, and closed the door. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. Another message in the group chat. I opened it. It was a TikTok link. The caption read, "The truth about the girl in the alley last night. Repost so everyone sees." I clicked it. The video was short, maybe 15 seconds. It was shaky, filmed from a distance, but you could clearly see her on the ground. You could hear people nearby, someone laughing, someone shouting, "Post it to your story." The comments section, "Need more details. Selling the full video, $5, Venmo me." Seen a million girls like this. She's not innocent. Why feel sorry for her? Feel sorry for the 3 guys who are going to jail. The commenter above is human garbage. Just telling it like it is. I set my phone down on my chest. I closed my eyes. That phrase popped into my head again. Why did you have to get involved? I opened my eyes. I stared at the ceiling. Get involved? This time, I didn't do a thing. I wonder, are you happy with how it turned out? 5 the days flew by. Wake up at 6:30, sleep at 10:30. In between, a mountain of practice tests and review books. I was like a machine, moving through a pre-programmed routine. And it was good. Reborn, I was going to get into a great college. I didn't have to think about anything else. Just the work. Matt said I was losing my mind. "You never used to be like this," he said, slumped over his desk, watching me. "You used to come get snacks with me. Now I ask you 10 times and you say yes once. College applications are due soon. We've still got months." I just kept my head down and worked. He sighed and buried his face in his arms. I wasn't lying to him. College was everything. In my last life, I barely scraped by, got into a decent state school, and ended up with a boring 9-to-5 job. It was so easy for Chloe to push me into the abyss. But not this time. This time, I knew which fields were about to explode, which industries were profitable, which companies were worth joining. If I could just get into a top-tier school, I could skip years of struggle. I had no reason not to work my ass off. As for Chloe, she had become a speck of dust in my life. I rarely even thought about her anymore, except when I overheard the gossip, like during a break one day, when a few girls were scrolling on their phones. "Hey, look, someone posted about her again." "Who?" "You know, the girl from the alley." "Let me see." Damn, these comments are savage. What do they say? Girls like her are better off dead. Who even says stuff like that? She just got so unlucky, having all those pictures taken. Whose fault is that? She's the one who was hanging out with those burnouts. I heard her leg is permanently messed up. She walks with a limp. What? For real? Yeah, I saw her on the street near my tutoring center. What's she gonna do now? Who knows? She dropped out of school, so we won't see her again anyway. I kept doing my practice problems. The tip of my pen scratched against the paper. A few days later, my mom brought it up at dinner. "That girl from your school, whatever happened to her?" "I don't know. I heard today that her parents took her out of town. They won't let her leave the house." I picked at my food. They said she couldn't handle the stairs. People point at her, pull out their phones to take pictures. I didn't say anything. Her mom had a nervous breakdown. Cries all day long. I swallowed the food in my mouth. "Let's just eat." My mom looked at me, opened her mouth, then closed it. I knew what she wanted to say. That poor girl. What will she do? Life is so unfair. But I didn't want to hear it. Poor? She was a viper. I cleared my plate and went to my room to do homework. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. The group chat. Someone sent a message. "Holy shit. Did you guys see the news? There's an official update on the Chloe Miller case." The chat exploded. "What? What is it? Speed. Don't leave us hanging." The person posted a link. I clicked it. It was an official press release from the city police department. On November 3rd, 2016, at approximately 6 a.m., our department received a call regarding a violent assault in an alley near Northwood Avenue. Officers were dispatched to the scene immediately. Upon investigation, it was determined that the victim, C. Miller, female, 17, was assaulted by 3 male individuals while passing through the alley. The 3 suspects were apprehended the following day. During questioning, the suspects confessed to the crime, stating it was retaliation for an unpaid debt owed to them by C. Miller. Currently, the 3 suspects are in custody and the investigation is ongoing. The police department reminds the public that the internet is not a lawless space. Please do not create or spread rumors, and respect the victim's privacy to avoid causing secondary harm. City of Eden Falls Police Department, December 5th, 2016, there were already thousands of comments. Knew she wasn't innocent, so there was money involved? She had it coming. Plot twist. So she's not so pure after all. No matter what, assault is still a crime. You can't just what? If she hadn't borrowed the money, none of this would have happened. I exited the article. I put my phone face down on the desk. I went back to my homework. Another week passed. I was walking home with Matt after school. As we got to the gate, he grabbed my arm. Hey, isn't that Chloe Miller's mom? I followed his gaze. A middle-aged woman was standing by the school entrance. She was wearing a drab, gray coat, her hair was a mess, and her face was completely drained of color. She stood there, clutching a plastic bag, her eyes fixed on the students pouring out of the building. When someone walked by, she would step forward. Excuse me, were you a friend of Chloe's? The girl she stopped jumped back, startled. Who are you? I'm Chloe's mom. The woman's voice trembled. I just wanted to ask, did she have any close friends here at school? The girl just shook her head and hurried away. She tried again with another student. Excuse me, did you know Chloe? Nope, sorry. Another one rushed off. Matt whispered, what's she doing here? I didn't say a word. I just watched. The woman asked student after student and was avoided by every single one. They pretended not to hear, waved her off, or glanced back at her before picking up their pace. After a few minutes, she'd asked everyone who passed. No one had stopped. She just stood there as her hand went limp and the plastic bag fell to the ground. She looked so lost, so helpless. But what did that have to do with me? The greatest lesson my last life taught me was to never get involved. Never let your sympathy run wild. When I got to the alley, I paused for a moment. It was dark inside. Empty. I pushed off and rode away. Six months vanished in the blink of an eye. I went from 15th in our class to 5th and finally stabilized in the top 10 of the entire school. The way my teachers looked at me changed. I went from being that quiet, average kid to this year's dark horse. My guidance counselor called me in to ask about my target schools. I told her I hadn't decided yet. She said with my grades, I could definitely aim for an Ivy League. I told her thanks, I'd think about it. The truth was, I'd already decided. That state school I ended up at last time, never again. I was aiming for university in D.C. The standards were high, but the connections you made were unparalleled. I knew which industry was about to take off, and if I could just get in, my starting point would be on a different planet. You're not the same, man, Matt said, face down on his desk. You used to play video games with me. Now all you think about is studying. SATs are coming up. We've got 3 months. I just smiled and kept working. I had to seize this second chance God had given me. 3 months passed in a flash. The day of the SATs was scorching hot. I took a deep breath and walked into the testing center, a perfect echo of a decade ago. Reading, writing, math. 2 days, one long test. I remembered some of the questions from the last time I took it, but not all. It was enough. I wasn't the same clueless student I was before. When the proctor called time on the last section, I walked out of the school. The sun was blinding. The entrance was packed with parents holding umbrellas and water bottles, craning their necks. Matt pushed his way out of the crowd, sweating. He was in the same testing room as me. How'd you do? All right. What's all right mean? It means all right. He rolled his eyes. Can you speak English, dude? I laughed. What about you? It was okay, he said, scratching his head. Ran out of time on the last reading passage. Just bubbled in C for all of them. Well, you've got a 1 in 4 shot on each. Here's hoping. We stood on the sidewalk, comparing answers. He was shocked to find out he'd actually gotten a few of his random guesses right. He was so ecstatic he jumped up and down and promised to buy me dinner. I said sure. While we waited for the scores, my parents suggested a family vacation. My dad asked where I wanted to go. I said anywhere, maybe the beach. My mom was thrilled. She'd been talking about a family trip for years, but we never had the chance. She immediately started booking flights and a hotel. 3 days later, we were in Florida. The beach was nice. Sun, sand, waves, and retirees in Hawaiian shirts. My dad rented an umbrella and fell asleep in a lounge chair. My mom wore a new sundress she'd bought just for the trip. I sat on the sand, watching the ocean. My phone buzzed. The class group chat. Message after message popped up on the screen. I opened it. OMG, OMG, OMG. Is this real? What is happening? I scrolled up. Someone had posted a screenshot. It was a push notification from a local news app. The headline read, "Teen from last year's alley assault case hospitalized after apparent suicide attempt." I stared at the words. My finger froze over the screen. The group chat was going insane. Is she alive? Don't know. The article just says she was rushed to the ER. Jesus Christ, that's horrible. Why would she do that? She survived the first time. Survived? You call the way she was living surviving? Yeah. Permanent limp, dropped out of school, constantly getting harassed online. I couldn't handle it either. I kept scrolling. Our class president sent a message. Look, whatever happened, we were all classmates once. I think we should start a collection for her, just to show we care. The chat went silent for a few seconds. Then someone replied, $20 for me. Yeah, I'll do $20. I'll put in $50. Didn't know her well, but still. The class president tagged everyone. At everyone, if you want to donate, Venmo me directly. I'll keep track and send it to her parents. I stared at the screen. The sun was so bright the glare made it hard to see. I could hear my parents in the distance. What are you looking at? Come on in the water. In a minute. Hurry up. We didn't come all this way for you to stare at your phone. I looked up. Hold on, Mom. I looked back down, opened a private chat with the class president. I sent him $20. Note, a small gesture. He replied instantly. Got it. Thanks, man. I'll pass on your support. I didn't reply. My mom shouted again. Now, let's go. I put my phone down, stood up, and walked toward the water. After a few steps, I stopped. I looked back at my phone, sitting on the lounge chair. $20. It was more than enough. I genuinely hope she lives. Lives a long, long life. So she can savor every moment of it. After all, the real suffering has only just begun. Now it's her turn to get a taste of what it's like. It's good to be alive, Chloe. You need to keep on living. Now, my mom's voice snapped me back to reality. I turned and ran toward the ocean. Coming back at the hotel that night, I checked my phone again. People in the group chat were still talking about it. Latest update. I heard they saved her. She didn't die. That's good. Isn't living just more torture for her? You can't just let someone die. A miserable life is better than no life at all. They started arguing again. I tossed my phone on the bed and went to take a shower. The hot water felt good. I closed my eyes and let it run over my head, washing away the fatigue. When I got back to the room, my dad was watching TV and my mom was putting on lotion. A peaceful life like this was an impossible dream for me last time. I was so glad to have it back. My phone lit up again. The group chat. This time I didn't open it. I dried my hair and fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. We got back from our trip just in time for the scores to be released. That day, I sat at the computer while my parents stood behind me, holding their breath. I typed in my ID number and clicked View Scores. The page loaded and a bright red number appeared on the screen, 1550. It was 300 points higher than my score from last time. My mom shrieked and threw her arms around me. My dad was clapping, a huge grin on his face. I knew it. I knew my son could do it. 1,550. 1,550. What kind of school can he get into with that? Harvard might be a stretch, but he can take his pick of any other top-tier school. That's enough. That's more than enough. This is wonderful. I sat there, looking at the number on the screen. A slow, silent smile spread across my face. That night, our class had a graduation party. Matt scored a 1320, way better than he expected. He was so happy he bought everyone drinks. If you hadn't been on my case about studying all the time, I never would have gotten this score, he said, raising his cup. This one's to you. I clinked my cup against his. You're the one who did the work. Yeah, right, he said, downing his drink. When you're in D.C., don't forget about me. Where are you applying? State school. Don't want to go too far. I nodded. Someone at the table leaned in. Hey, did you guys hear? Chloe Miller got out of the hospital. Really? Yeah. My neighbor works there. Said they saved her, but what? Sounds like she's had a complete breakdown. Won't eat, won't talk. Just locks herself in her room all day. Her mom got sick too. Her dad's trying to hold everything together by himself. It's tough. Someone sighed. Someone else fell silent. Another person whispered, good thing we sent that money. Matt nudged me. Did you donate? Yeah. How much? 20. He nodded. Me too. Then he raised his cup again. All right, enough of that. Let's drink. I took a sip. The other students were talking about college, about majors, about what cities they wanted to live in. I listened quietly, eating my food. The night got rowdy. Someone got drunk and started singing off-key. Someone else stood on a chair and proposed a toast to youth. Everyone raised their glass and shouted, "To youth! Youth!" It really was a beautiful thing. After dinner, the street outside was empty. Everyone went their separate ways. I stood on the sidewalk. The night air was cool and refreshing. My mom's car pulled up to the curb. "Get in. Let's go home." I opened the door and slid into the back seat. The car moved forward, the streetlights blurring past. "Have you thought about what you want for your celebration dinner? I'll make you whatever you want. Anything's fine." "Anything? A 1550 and you want anything? We have to celebrate properly." "Okay, I'll eat whatever you make." My mom smiled. I smiled back. The wind whipped through the open window, cool and smelling of summer. I leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes. Third in the school. My spot in D.C. was guaranteed. From this day forward, every single day would be the first day of my new life.